Om Shri Sai Ram. Dear students, in this series of lectures, we would be dealing with the ideas and concepts related to the chapter motion. On my very first slide, you could see a set of three equations. There are some graphs displayed here. There is a picture of giant wheel, and then there is this famous personality whom you are very familiar with, Sir Isaac Newton. We will be dealing with equations, graphs, a bit of theory and mathematical expressions while dealing with this chapter. So to make it convenient for you, I have divided the whole chapter into various modules. So we pick up a module, try to study the ideas and concepts in it, which would lead you to the next module. So in this particular way, we would be dealing this chapter. So let's begin. Module 1, describing motion. Now if you look at these pictures that are displayed here, you would be seeing there is a wall clock, there is a merry-go-round, there is a satellite which is moving in an orbit around the earth, and then there is a car which is moving in a straight line. All of these are related, classified under the basic category of motion, because you see the pendulum moves in the wall clock. The merry-go-round, when a person sits, he moves with the merry-go-round. A satellite orbits in a circular path around the earth, and a car moves along the road on a straight line. All these are various kinds of motion. None of these is similar to the next one. And then if you remember the basics of your lower classes, we classify this as oscillatory motion, this would be rotatory motion, this would be circular motion, and this is motion in a straight line or rectilinear motion. In this particular chapter, we would be mainly dealing with motion in a straight line, which is also called rectilinear motion. So let's see what motion means. It is the phenomena in which an object changes its position over time. So initially an object is at a certain point, at a particular point. With the passage of time, if it changes its position, we say that the object is in motion. It is mathematically described in terms of various physical parameters which we would be studying, like displacement, distance, velocity, acceleration, speed and time, etc. So these are the parameters which describe whether a body changes its position, at what rate it changes its position, so on and so forth. There are various kinds of motion, as we have seen in the earlier slide. Linear motion or rectilinear, where an object moves in a straight line. Rotatory, when an object spins around a particular axis. And oscillatory motion. Let's see an example of this. All of you are very familiar with this particular game, Angry Birds. And if you see the movement here that is depicted, we see that the object is able to move in a straight line. It moves in a straight line. Though you would have launched it at a particular angle when you are playing, this particular example here shows that this particular bird moves in a straight line path. And then we come to the next one, circular motion. This car is moving on a circular track. It moves along the circular path, maintaining an equal radius from the center. So this is circular motion. The next one, oscillatory motion, is this, the motion of a pendulum. It swings to and fro. With respect to a certain fixed mean position, the bob of the pendulum moves to and fro, front and back, which is called the oscillatory motion. So let's start with motion along a straight line. We have an object, it moves along the straight line, which means at a certain instant of time, if you remember your graph sheet, we call this as the origin point. and for simplicity let's consider only movement along the x-axis. So we have the origin, we have the x-axis which is in kilometers. There are various divisions that are marked here. So 5, 10, 15, 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers and so on. The whole thing is a straight line. An object starts from O, and after starting from O, if it reaches the point B, for example, so from O to B there is a change in the position of an object in a certain amount of time. The distance travelled will be measured as 35 kilometers. From B, starting from B, if it goes to point A, you can calculate what the distance will be. So basically what is the path length covered by the object we would be measuring here. So from O, it moves along a straight line path, it goes to C, and then from then it goes to B, it goes to A, it can come back to B, so on. So all these are happening only along the x-axis or in a single dimension or in a unidirectional way, which is a straight line movement. In a such case, the coordinates of the particle change with respect to time. The coordinates means the positions of the particle change. So whenever an object is in movement, suppose I am here and then I take 2 steps here, there is a change in position with respect to time. So therefore we say that we are in movement, we say that we are in motion. So this is a very basic and straightforward example of motion along a straight line. Now, to describe motion along a straight line, we need 2 very important parameters called the distance and the displacement. Now just look at this. There are 2 points, station A and station B. An object started from station A, it came 50 kilometers all the way down, then it moved 100 kilometers, then 200 kilometers, then 400 kilometers to reach station B. So from station A, the total path length, if you see the whole journey, it is broken up into various smaller paths. One is the 50 kilometer, 100, 200 and 400. Let's add up all of them. So 4 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7, 750 kilometers is the total path length that the object has travelled from station A to station B. Now, there is an important question here. Does it mean that always the object has to travel only 750 kilometers? Can it not go either way? Let's see an example. So there are 2 points. One is station A and then station B. So body started from station A. In our case, it took, in case 1, it took 750 kilometers. So let's see another case. Is there any other possibility to go from A to B? The object can go like this and reach B. The object can also go like this and reach B. The object can move like this and reach B. So there are infinite ways in which a body can start from A and reach B. In one particular case, we have seen it travels 750 kilometers. In another case, it could be more than 750 kilometers. In another case, it could be less than 750 kilometers. Now, from basic maths, we know that the shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line path. Now let's see, if the object just straight travels from A to B, we have seen in the figure that it takes 400 kilometers. So for the object to reach from station A, travel in a straight line and go to station B, it is taking 400 kilometers, and this is the shortest distance it can travel. So between any 2 points, I can have various kinds of movements. I can go like this, I can go like this and so on. But there is only one path which is the shortest path, that is which is from A to B. All the other paths are direction dependent. This is direction, so this particular one is in a particular direction, this and so on. The shortest path between A and B is a straight line path. So this particular thing is constant always. If I go like this, the distance, the path length may vary. If I go like this, the path length may vary. If I go like this, the path length varies, and so on. But always there is a fixed quantity which is the shortest distance measured between A and B as a straight line path. Now with this in mind, let's get back here. So between A and B, there is a straight line path which is measured 400 kilometers, and that is the shortest path. Any other path that we take, it takes a bit longer route. So therefore, this is how we define displacement and distance are the two parameters now. So if you start from A, you travel in some path which is not necessarily the straight line path, and then reach B. We say that the sum of all the path lengths that it covers is called the distance. So a particular distance, when we mention, it means it's a measure of the sum of all the individual path lengths the object takes. Here it is 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 shorter paths. The path length of 50 kilometers plus 100 plus 200 plus 400, which makes it 750 kilometers. In other case, it could be more than 750. In a case, it could be less than 750. So these are the various ways in which the object from A can reach B. But there is always a single path, the straight line path, which is the shortest between A and B, which we call it the displacement. So displacement, when we define, we say that the shortest distance between the initial point and final point. So this is how we define displacement. So there are 2 points that are given. Distance can be anything. So I call this point A, I call this point B. If I want to talk of distance, an object can start from here, it can go like this and reach B. I'll take only 2 examples. This is path 1, or it can go like this and reach B. This is path 2. So this is distance, this is distance. The individual path length will be distance. But the moment I know the initial point and the final point B, where it reached, the shortest if I measure between A and B, this would give me the displacement. So an object, for example, an object can start from here, it can travel all the way along a circular path and come back. So this is my starting point A and this is my final point B. So if I want to know what is the distance this object covered, so from A it travelled around the circumference of the circular path. So the distance travelled between points A and point B, distance will be equal to 2 pi r. 2 pi r is the distance, the circumference of the circle. Now let's see what the displacement would be. The starting point is A. Finally, the object reached the point A again. So therefore, because the initial point or the starting point and the final point coincide, we say that the displacement is 0. Because the shortest distance between a point and the same point is 0. So therefore, we say that distance covered in this particular case is 2 pi r, which is the circumference of the circle, whereas the displacement will be 0. Another example, same circular path, an object started from point P, it travelled a semicircular track and reached the point Q. In this particular case, the initial point is P, the final point is Q. So the distance from P to Q is half the circumference of the total circle. So if I call R is the radius of this particular circle, we say that the distance or the arc length PQ is pi r. Pi r will be the distance, which is very obvious. Now, when I want to calculate the displacement, see the initial point, see the final point, check what is the shortest distance between both of them, the straight line. So the diameter will be the shortest distance from P to Q. So R plus R, the displacement will be 2R. So like this, we can have an object moving along a triangular track, rectangular track, along a trapezium, so on and so forth. All that matters for us is, once we know the initial point, once we know the final point, if we are going to add up all the individual path lengths, we say that it is distance. But if we just take the shortest distance or the straight line connecting the initial point and the final point, we say that the quantity that we measured will be the displacement. So let's see the difference between distance and displacement. It is listed out here. Distance, it's the length of the path actually traveled by the body in any direction. So length of the path traveled, it actually travels from A all the way like this to reach point B. Let's see what is displacement. Displacement is the shortest distance between the initial point and the final point of a body in the direction of the point of the final position. So from A it reached B. So in this direction we say that the displacement is calculated, and in our particular case we say that displacement is 400 kilometers. The next difference, distance between two given points depends upon the path chosen. It's obvious because if I go only in this particular path, I get 750 kilometers. If I go in some other path, in any other path, as we have seen, the value that we derive would be greater than 750 or lesser than 750. But displacement between two points is measured by the straight path between the points, so therefore it will never change. So I can start from here, I can come to be in this way, I can come in any other way. In all the cases, if I see, only the value or the magnitude means the numerical value. A numerical value of the distance will change. But once I know my initial point and my final point, the displacement never changes. It's always a constant. Next, distance is always positive. Displacement may be positive as well as negative or even zero, because it's always associated with the direction. So in your graph paper, if you see, from the origin anything towards right is plus x. On the left side we call it minus x. Similarly, all the measurements that we do in the upward direction, we call it positive y, and in the downward we call it negative y. So for example, if we have to mark a displacement of, so let's take this example. This is the origin, this is positive x-axis, this is the negative x-axis, this is positive y-axis, this is negative y-axis. Now, because displacement, we want to say that it is positive or negative. Let's say an object traveled minus 5 meters in the x direction. Can distance be negative? Distance cannot be negative, because anything you measure, it's always positive. But when you say minus 5 meter, we all know that this minus in the x-axis is towards left side. So therefore we take 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we mark the point here as minus 5. So minus 5 meter, when an object travels along the x-axis, it means it travels 5 meters in the negative x direction. Similarly, when we say there is a movement of minus 3 meters, an object move along the y-axis, it actually means it moved 3 meters in the negative y direction. So 3 meters in the negative y, which means down. Positive y is upward. So therefore displacement is always based on the direction. So if you call it plus 5, we need to move right side. If you call it minus 5, we need to move towards left side. Similarly, plus 3 is in the upward direction. So hope you have spent few minutes trying to read and understand this particular question. Just see carefully what they have asked us. They have asked us to calculate what is the magnitude, which means what is the numerical value of the displacement they are asking. So displacement is a crucial word now. Okay, of the farmer at the end of 2 minutes 20 seconds. Now they have clearly given us that to move along the whole boundary he takes 40 seconds. So starting from A to B, C, D and back to A, the whole boundary he covers in 40 seconds. Again in the next 40 seconds he'll reach point A, which means 40 round 1 plus round 2, 40 plus 40, 80. And then one more round he goes covering 40, it will become 120. Okay, so let's see. The farmer started. So let's see, 2 minutes 20 seconds would be equivalent to 140 seconds. So farmer started from A. So A, B, C, D, he took 40. One more round, 40 plus 40, 80. One more round, the third round 40. So 80 plus 40, 120 is over now. So at the end of 120 seconds, he reached the point A directly. Now they are asking us at the end of 140 seconds. Now just see, the whole boundary if he covers in 40 seconds, the half the distance he will take 20 seconds. So for each side he should be taking 10 seconds. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 would make it 40. So that's how at the end of every round he covers 40. So already 3 rounds we have gone, 40, 80, 120 is over now, 130, 140. So at the end of 140 seconds, he reached the point C. So hope you are clear with this. They are asking us to find out what is the magnitude, which means what is the numerical value of the displacement at the end of 140 seconds. And they have said that for each time the farmer goes around the boundary, it will be 40 seconds. So first round 40, second round 80, third round 120 is over. Now we need 140. Suppose he covers the whole boundary again, the 120 plus 40 becomes 160. They are asking us only 140, which means after completing 3 rounds and reaching point A, taking 120 seconds, he only needs to travel half the boundary, which means 103 rounds 120 is done, 130, 140, that's all. He should stop here to reach 140 seconds. Suppose he further continues and comes back here, it will be 150, 160. So therefore the initial point is taken as A, and at the end of 140 seconds the farmer reached the point C. Each side is 10 meters, 10, 10, 10. Now we know the initial point, we know the final point C. What is displacement? Displacement is nothing but the shortest distance between initial and final point. So it will be the straight line AC. So distance will be different, but displacement is directly the length AC, the straight line length AC. Now the value of AC is not known, but it's not very tough to calculate this, because if you have a look at this, it's a right angle triangle. 2 sides are given, they are asking us to find out the hypotenuse. So therefore from the Pythagoras theorem we have AC square will be equal to AD square plus DC square. Length AD is 10 square 100 plus 100. Side square plus side square, 100 plus 100, 200. So this is our rough work. AC square is AD square plus DC square. AC square will be 200, which means AC will be square root of 200 meters, which when simplified will give us 10 root 2 meters. So therefore at the end of 140 seconds the farmer reaches the point C, and the magnitude of the displacement is the straight line length AC, which when calculated would give us the value of 10 root 2 meters. So hope we are clear with this. So this is one basic numerical which makes you very easier to understand the difference between distance and displacement. Now as an extended numerical for this, now that we have calculated what is the displacement, you can try out what will be the distance at the end of 140 seconds or 2 minutes 20 seconds. Let's see the next numerical. An object moves along the grid through the points A, B, C, D, E and F as shown below. So the object starts from A to B, C, D, E, F. Find the distance covered by the moving object they have given us. So they are asking us to find out what is the distance covered and the magnitude or displacement of the object they are asking. So before that, they have also specified in the grid that between every two lines in the grid, the distance is 0.5 kilometers. So this each smaller unit of the side is given as 0.5 kilometers. This is also 0.5 kilometers. It's a uniform grid, it's a square grid. So therefore, let's see what the distance covered will be. So distance is nothing but the total path length. So distance will be AB plus BC plus CD plus DE plus EF. So let's see what it would be. AB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 segments where each segment is 0.5 meters. So 6 into 0.5, 3 kilometers. So each segment is 0.5 kilometers. So therefore, the length AB will be 3 kilometers plus 0.5 plus 0.51. So 3 plus 1, 4 plus 1.5. So 0.5 3 times it is 1.5. Here it is 0.5, here it is 0.5. So let's see. The whole thing is 6 plus 1, 7. 7 plus 1.5, 8.5 plus 0.5, 9 plus EF is 0.5 again 9.5. So therefore, if we carefully calculate, we get that right from point A when it starts and travels all the way to F, taking this particular path, the total distance or the total path length it covers will be equal to 9.5 kilometers. So this is with respect to the distance covered. Just add up all the segments. You can also do it this way. Calculate how many segments are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 segments are there. 13 into 0.5 you can do. So now that you have understood the question carefully, they have given that the object starts from A, finally reaches the point F, and they have given the length of each segment is 0.5 kilometers. So when we want to calculate the distance covered by the moving object, so therefore we calculate the individual distances or the individual path lengths. So therefore let's see how many individual broken paths are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13 individual segments, and for each segment the distance covered is taken as 0.5 kilometers. So therefore, for all the 13 segments, when you add up, it will be 13 plus 13 plus 13 and so on. So when we add up all the individual paths, we get 0.5 plus 0.5 so on, 13 times added, it will be 13 into 0.5 or 6.5 kilometers is the distance. If you carefully calculate, you would arrive at the conclusion that the distance covered is 6.5 kilometers. Now, the second bit, they are asking us to calculate the magnitude of the displacement of the object. Magnitude, the numerical value of the displacement of the object. Now see, the starting point is A. The body took this particular path and reached the final point F. Now we know between the initial point and the final point, the shortest distance will be taken as the displacement. Let's see how it is. So this is how it will be. This, of course, when you solve, you would find it very interesting that between the initial point and the final point, the straight line path is nothing but the displacement. And now to calculate this, let's make this imaginary, take up this imaginary triangle. Now you know this is one side of the right angle triangle and this is the perpendicular side, and AF forms the hypotenuse. Let's see what is the length of AH. So this triangle, I take AHF so that AF will be the hypotenuse. AH and FH are the two perpendicular sides. Now the length of AH will be 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 and 0.5, it will be 2 kilometers. So this length is 2 kilometers, this length will be 1.5 kilometers because 0.5 taken 3 times. You know, one side is 2 kilometers, the other side is 1.5 kilometers. Now when we use the Pythagoras theorem, AF square or the hypotenuse square will be equal to 2 square plus 1.5 whole square. If one calculates very carefully, then one would arrive at the magnitude or the numerical value of the displacement. So hope you would enjoy working out this numerical and then finally arrive at what the magnitude of the displacement would be. So with this few slides, we would wind up our discussion on the kinds of motion, basically the rectilinear motion, the difference between distance and displacement, the definitions, the SI unit of distance and displacement, and very few basic numericals on how we calculate distance and displacement for a particular cases. Sai Ram, thank you.